So I just want to bring the energy back because we had that incredible reading, and that song that Bob sang was just amazing. So I just want to take a moment to just bring that energy back. And if we just close our eyes and just center in and think of one thing that we're grateful for this morning. Just one thing. And then just gently say thank you out to Spirit. Thank you. Thank you. As already been said, my name's Idalia Romero. I'm a religious science certified practitioner here at Oneness. I'm also a certified prayer chaplain, Unity prayer chaplain. And I'm also, I'm going to share this with you because it's one of my greatest spaces of gratitude. I'm also the area delegate for the Worldwide Fellowship of Al-Anon, which covers all of Maryland and District of Columbia. And that position came about from years and years of me being involved in this fellowship and being a member of this fellowship. And part of being a member of this fellowship includes me sponsoring women, because we have this thing that men sponsor men and women sponsor women. And part of that sponsorship is helping these women, and not just helping them, guiding these women to what we call a journey of recovery. And that journey of recovery is a lot. It includes a lot of things. Because when we arrive in the rooms of Al-Anon, a lot of us are living in a space of disconnect and separation. And because of my journey, my spiritual journey, I've been able to help these women, whether they're wives or sisters or cousins or mothers of alcoholics and drug addicts. In today's climate, I feel that that's more important than ever. It really is. And the essence of who I am and what I bring to that sponsorship of these women is helping them to become more aware of who they are, to let go of their fears and anxieties, and to be more accepting, to rejoice and celebrate who they are, to dig deep inside themselves and see the truth of who they are, the beauty of who they are. And that unto itself allows me to live a very humble and grateful life. And then what happens is they get to pass that on and sponsor somebody else, and they get to live a life of humility and gratitude. And so we are a worldwide fellowship, and that energy of gratitude gets spread into the world, This summer we had an international here in Baltimore that had 4,400 people come from over 200 countries to celebrate this gratitude and this recovery, And it's amazing how all that gets expressed, because there's a little quote that's been popping up recently for me that says, people may forget what I say and do, but they'll never forget how I make them feel. And that unto itself allows me to remember and to understand that if I live my life in gratitude and connection with Spirit, that then I can deliver those gifts unto the world, wherever I go and wherever I stand, I'm going to do a little Bible stumping today, so I don't want anybody to get nervous, because I am going to quote a little bit. I'm even going to use the word Jesus. So just giving you a heads up on some of that. All right, here it goes. Psalm 23, and that's one of my favorite psalms. It says, "Thou preparest a table before thee in the presence of thine enemies." And this week I had to really think about that. What do those words mean? What do those words declare in my life? What is that table, that beautiful table that we know exists, that table of spiritual energy? I know you're all here because you all have one of these tables that it's already filled with gifts of celebration and joy and strength and all those love and acceptance and all those beautiful things, right? Yeah. But we also have to stop and look at what is the presence of those enemies as part of that declaration, right? And part of that declaration and those enemies are that fear, that anxiety, those concerns and resentments and all of that. And in our teachings, we talk about denying those things. And I like to say that I don't like denying those things. What I like to do is to look at those things, because those are those things that really help me bubble up to the surface in gratitude. Those are those things that make me stop and think and go, what am I really delivering onto the world? What is my life expressing into the world? What is my display of who I am in my heart and my soul? And those are those things that make me aware. So what does that table look like to all of us? It all could be very different. It could be pure light. It could be a sense of beauty that we see. It could be us getting up every day and seeing the sunshine or hearing the rain outside, or just expressing, like I said, that joy, that love, that strength. Just seeing that on our table every single morning allows us to live in abundance and prosperity. And that abundance and prosperity opens up our hearts again to enjoy all those things that we have in our lives. And that table could be any single thing that we decide to do in the morning. I mean, we could get up in the morning and go like, humbug, this looks like crap today, you know? Or we could get up in the morning and go, you know what? I had an incredible night's sleep. I'm going to pray. I'm going to open up my reader today. And I'm going to read on gratitude and thankfulness. It could be anything that we want it to be, that table for the day. Because like I said before, it's a display and a reflection of who I am and who I'm going to be throughout the day. Yeah. And the fear and the anxiety. How do we look at that fear and anxiety? Well, there's an acronym for fear, as we all know, false evidence appearing real, right? And a lot of times when we get into that anxiety and that angst and that thing inside of our stomachs that churns around, that means that we haven't really prepared, right? And my friend always likes to say, by preparing, we have to pre-pray, right? Pre-pray before we step out into that anxiety and that fear and those things that we think exist in our lives. So what do we lay upon those things? What light do we bring to those things? What joy do we bring onto those things? Because we have to embrace them also as a very sense of gratitude in our lives. We have to say, okay, what am I looking at here? And what am I going to be grateful for? Because God always gives us exactly what we need. It's not always what we think is going to be happening. I know for me, for a long, long time, I always had this projection that I always projected out into the world. Well, this is what's going to happen. It's going to happen this way. It's going to happen that way. And I used to tell God, okay, this is what I want and when I want it and how I want it. All right. And I would go step away and go like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. God's got this. And I go this is not the way it's supposed to be. This is not how God is, supposed to be delivering this thing to me. I had a friend of mine named Blanche. She passed away years ago. She always used to say to me, Idalia, be grateful that you have a house to clean. That means you have a roof over your head, okay? And be grateful that you have dishes to wash. That means you have food to put on those dishes. And be grateful you have food, clothes to wash, because that means you have clothes to wear, And I never looked at gratitude that way, but it's very interesting how that shift happened for me. And when I used to call her up and complain about everything in my life, and she used to throw that back at me and shift it immediately, Tell you a story about a rooster, the rooster story. Roosters get up and crow, right? They crow in the morning, right? What do? And there was this rooster that used to get up every morning. Every morning this rooster got up. And he would go out there and crow and watch the sunrise and go like, wow, this is incredible. I did this incredible deed. And he would take credit for this every morning. He did this for a long, long time. And then one morning, he overslept. And he got up, and the sun had risen. And he goes, hey, what's up? What's this sun doing up? I haven't crowed yet, And he looked for a moment, and he stepped back, and he said, something's going on here. Maybe I need to have a metaphysical adjustment of some sort, right? And the metaphysical adjustment, he stopped to think, and he said, you know what? Tomorrow morning, I'm going to get up and celebrate the sunrise, as opposed to thinking that he made it come up. So the following morning, he got up, and he waited, and the sun came up, and he crowed to the heavens that the sun had risen. The sun had risen. And he started to live his life in thankfulness and gratitude. And that is the little adjustment that takes us to that place of allowing ourselves to not look at things as we think they are and we think they look like, but in looking at things and making those metaphysical adjustments in our life so that we can live a life of gratitude, so that we can be open and receptive and see everything in the light. In the light. Because when the light shines upon things, we're able to review it, embrace it, see it for what it is, make the adjustments, and then go forth and do what we need to do in that journey. So as we think of ourselves and this reality, what is the next step? It is up to us, each one of us, to be responsible for not only opening these gifts and recognizing them, but embracing and knowing that these gifts are me. That I can't live a life of joy unless I know and give anybody else joy in their lives. We all have that in our hearts, unless I have that inside of me first. Unless I know that God is that I am. That I am this incredible joy. That I am this incredible love in my life. And then I go forth and live my life from that very sense of this God is, I am. But then there's another step. Then I have to say yes. And in that big yes, as I allow myself to step forward each and every day, because, I could step forward and go like, yuck, it's a puddle. Or I can step forward and go like, yes, it's solid ground. Yes, it's good. Yes, it's glorious and wonderful. Eric Butterworth used to say, he's a Unity minister up in New York. I was a student of his for like 25 years. He always used to say that we can live a life of gratitude and being grateful. But being grateful is not just being grateful for things. Being grateful means having a grateful heart. And having a grateful heart means being full of greatness. Being full of greatness. I was thinking of thinking of the word grateful unto itself, and of course, if we spell the word out and we go, oh, hey, G is for greatness. What else could there be? R is for rejoicing, praising and rejoicing. There's a story about a young lady who actually was laid up for many years on a bed, and she was paralyzed. And people would come and meet with her and pray with her all the time. And a lot of times she would just be sad about laying there. But this one day, a minister showed up, and she was rejoicing, and she was very happy, and she was just praising everything. And the minister was sort of surprised at that praising. He says, wow, you seem really happy today. You seem to be really connected in your gratitude today. And she said, I am. I'm really, really very connected. I feel like my heart is open. I feel really good about it. He said, and what brings this joy into your heart? And she says, I spoke to my doctors this morning, and they said that in 2 weeks, they could turn me over to the other side. Wow. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that connection of praising and rejoicing and thanksgiving? I call praise and thanksgiving Pat. You know, my friend Pat. So, as I praise and thanksgiving, I always think about, the things that I think about Pat is, when you pat your dog all the time, what does he do? He wags his tail, right? So he's always in a state of gratitude, And praising and thanksgiving have to do with rejoicing. They have to do with rejoicing. Rejoicing in everything. And that part of my understanding is that no matter what it looks like, Reverend Jenna was talking about this past week. I have to tell you that I had to go at some point into prayer about this week. I really did. Because it was overwhelming me. And a lot of the overwhelming has to do because, as I started, I'm a Latina, and my people are in the foreground of this, whatever's going on. And I have to know and understand that no matter what this looks like, that no matter what is happening, I have to stand tall in gratitude for what is unfolding, And whatever is happening to this country, I have to stand in gratitude for this unfoldment, So it's always a little challenge for me to know and understand that, that A in gratitude has to do with my attitude of gratitude. What is my attitude today? My attitude can shift at any moment. My attitude can be of, no, I'm not going to do this today. But my attitude can be in rejoicing and accepting what is and what's happening. And that T for grateful, right? Being trusting and having faith. Faith, for an instant there's hope. For an instant there's hope. And as I trust, as I said, that God is here, that my table, the table that I have, is so laden and so full, so full, that I don't have to worry or be concerned about anything. All I need to know is that I can walk out there into the waters and trust that my next step is being held up. And that E for the very essence of life, the very essence of all that energy and that spirit, that which we live inside of, we're never separated from. That very essence that drives every fiber, cell, and tissue, that allows us to heal whenever we need healing. That essence that is always bubbling up. We have a little thing, Phil and I, he goes to us, how you feeling, honey? And his dad, who's passed away, used to go like this. So whenever he says, how are you feeling? I go, I'm feeling, I'm feeling it. I got this, You know, I'm feeling it in my heart. I'm feeling grateful right now, you know. And that fullness, that F for that fullness, that S for fulfillment, because I know it's always going to be fulfilled, no matter what. No matter what I think or what anybody else thinks, my life is always going to be fulfilled. And whatever my gifts are, they're always going to be there for me. It's just me tapping into them and accepting them as who I am. And that U for understanding. That understanding, that which passes all understanding. And I know that in my mind. And I know that in my body, in my spirit, and in my heart today. I have to tell you that sometimes I think about the journey, my life's journey, and I think about where I've been and what I've done in my life. And I go like, wow, this is amazing that I get to live this life today, that I get to be here, that I get to have friends that are amazing, that I get to have this incredible husband that I have, that I get to rejoice each and every morning. It's really, really amazing. Yeah. And recently, I've had some challenges that have allowed me to tap into my gratitude. I have to tell you, there's no mistakes in God's world. When I was thinking that November would be about Thanksgiving and gratitude, but when you sent me the topic, I was like, okay, it makes sense. Gratitude for November. It's a month of Thanksgiving and stuff like that. But I wasn't thinking how perfect the topic would be. I was not thinking. So on October 30th, I got to my job, and around 10:30, I was called into the conference room, and I was told, I was said these words: thank you for your service of 16 and a half years of service here in our company. For your job has been eliminated, and today's your last day, and you have to leave. Well, of course, you sit there and you go like, heck no, this is not happening, but okay. But I have to tell you how awesome, because I jot down when I'm going to do a talk, I jot down little thoughts and things like that, and then it all comes together somehow, and then I get here and God has another plan. So that's how it works, you know, with these talks. I'm sure Reverend Brian will attest to that. So I'm sitting there going like, heck no. And then something shifted. That metaphysical shift happened. It's like, no. I've had an incredible 16 and a half years here in this company. I've done incredible things. I have lived in a place of gratitude because I've been able to connect with a lot of people that have had needs that they probably couldn't understand in their minds. And I have been able to bring all these teachings to a job that needed me to be there and be the light when it was dark, in moments of darkness. And I could have gone in another direction, believe me, really quick, but I chose not to. I chose to be in a place of gratitude, in a place of grounding, in a place of knowing that God had already delivered what my needs were going to be and what my needs are. You know. So they said to me, it's 10:30, can you be ready in an hour to leave the building? I was like, heck no. I've been here for 16 and a half years. I'm not doing that, you know. So I said to them, no, I'm not. You know, I happen to be one of these type of employees. I'm going to finish what I came in here, what's still on my station to do. I'm going to finish all that, and then I'm going to say bye to all my friends. You know. And around 2 o'clock, they decided that they were going to come up and check on me. And they came up to check on me. And I said, I'm not finished. And I wasn't. No, I was not finished, because whatever I was going to do, I was going to walk out of this place with a deep sense of gratitude and love, full of greatness. That's what I was going to do, you know. And that's what these teachings do to us. They open up our hearts in a way that we can't live any other way. We cannot live any other way, but only with a sense of gratitude. So, a couple of months ago, I have to share the story because it's really mind-boggling. We were talking about miracles. Rebecca was praying about miracles. I have to share this, and I have to tell you though that I personally don't really hold the word miracle into, I don't give it any energy. I really don't. I just truly believe that things happen because of all the goodness that we have in our lives, you know. And a couple of months ago, Phil belongs to this honor flight, and he goes, takes his motorcycle out to, because it's so perfect for today, this story, he rides out his motorcycle to BWI, and am I doing something? And buses come in from different cities across the U.S. There's a company called Honor Flights, and they bring World War II veterans into D.C. to visit all the memorials, the Korean Memorial, the World War II Memorial, the Vietnam Memorial, all of that. And maybe about a month and a half ago now, Phil I was actually coming here, and he was heading to do a ride. And what they do, the motorcycles escort the buses downtown, and it's a wonderful. I've done it a couple of times with him, and it's really a wonderful experience. And he put his vest that he has. He's been involved in this organization for years, and he's got a lot of pins and patches and things that they've given him for different things. And this particular day, a flight was coming in from Rochester. So he put his vest on the back seat where I would normally sit, put on his jacket, and he took off with his vest on the back seat. Now you have to know that this vest, like I said, it's a beautiful thing. It really is. You pick it up and you touch it. I was going to bring it today, and I forgot. And then it's really an amazing object. And he drove all the way to 100 with his vest on the back seat, and the vest flew off. And he didn't notice it until he got to BWI, and of course you could imagine how he was feeling inside, right? But he did his ride, and then he called me to leave me a message, see if I saw it out there on our driveway, and there was nothing. He came home, we searched the neighborhood, nothing. You know. Well, about a week and a half goes by, right? Maybe 2 weeks, and he gets a text, and he shares this information with the guys that he rides with. He gets a text that someone found that vest on 100. Could you imagine? The vest was out there, someone saw something glittering, got out and took the vest out and got it. And this person could have just taken this vest. It's a beautiful vest. It's leather and has all these beautiful patches on it. He could have taken this vest and said, hey, you know, this is cool. But he didn't. He went on the computer and he Googled, and whatever he did, honor flights, because the vest has honor flight of it. And eventually, he spoke to someone else who knew someone else that Phil had shared that information with. And a week and a half ago, Phil got that vest back. It was a guy who lived in Frederick. I mean, it wasn't even someone who lived in Columbia, someone who lived in Frederick. So again, you know, we're talking about being grateful, and I know he was so grateful to get that vest back. You know, it was like, but what I want to share with you about that situation was that when it happened, we immediately together went into prayer. We went into prayer, and we gave thanks. We gave thanks for the knowing that wherever that vest was, it was going to be coming back to us. That somehow that vest was going to be back in our hands, his hands. And that's how it happened. We surrendered ourselves to that gratitude. We let it go. We allowed ourselves to be present for the moment. So I'm going to read a reading because I always like to just bring everything together with something that Ernest, from Science of Mind, from Ernest Holmes. It has been said that the prayer of thanksgiving is a prayer of appropriation. This was the manner in which Jesus prayed when he raised Lazarus from the tomb. Father, I thank thee. Father, I thank thee. When we speak the words of thanksgiving to the God within, knowing before they have asked, I will answer, there is something in this attitude of thanksgiving that carries us beyond the field of doubt into one of perfect faith, acceptance, receptivity, realization. Appreciation, gratitude, and thanksgiving, the motive power which attracts and magnifies the hidden potentiality of life. The motive power that attracts and magnifies the hidden potentiality of life. And that is gratitude. That is thankfulness. That is rejoicing. That's being present. That's knowing that God is, I am. And that whenever I say yes, yes, I'm allowing all that goodness to flow, to be. All that prosperity that the universe has is mine. My table is so full. It is so, so full that all I need to say is yes. Yes, God. I am here. I am open. I am receptive to all the goodness, all this goodness. I want to end with one more thing because our young people of today have a lot in front of them. And this was written by a young person. And the lessons out of the mouths of babes always comes forth for me. And it is a little saying that says, thank you, God. Thank you, God, for life, a life with meaning in which I can be me, a life of courage to replace the fear. It feels so good to be young and alive, to carry my head high and to keep my mind clear, so that I can see and enjoy the truly beautiful world in which you have placed me. Please don't ever let me take my life for granted. Thank you, God, for love, for helping me to sow love where only hatred could grow before, for helping me to understand my parents and others, for showing me that no matter what they do, I can still love them. It is wonderful to know what love really is, to have the sense of hope which assures me that I don't have to be lonely anymore. Thank you, God, for joy, the kind of joy that wells within me when I know that my life is in the hands of one who understands and cares as no other can. A joy that brings with it a beautiful feeling of inner peace. And thank you, most of all, dear God, for being the greatest friend a young person like me can have. So I give thanks. I behold this thanks. And I can't leave you without singing a song, of course. Those who are here remember me, my singing. I don't sing very well, but I still sing. So there's a little song, and I'm going to sing the little chorus, and you guys can join in if you want. And then we're just going to end it with a little prayer. And it says, I am counting every blessing, counting every blessing. He is so good to me. I am counting every blessing, counting every blessing. He is so good to me. I am counting every blessing, counting every blessing, counting every blessing. He is so good to me. So in this energy, in this power, in this love, in this all-knowing essence of gratitude and gratefulness and greatness, we know without a shadow of a doubt that we're always connected. We're always unfolding. We're always expressing. We're always being. And as we allow ourselves to rejoice in this knowing, we know that God is I am. That God delivers all these gifts unto us, through us, as the joy, as the love, as the peace, as the serenity. And it displays this table before us as the very essence of our inheritance. And we are deserving of it all. We are deserving of it all. Because it is ours. And all we need to do is say yes. And to step forward each and every moment with a sense of deep joy and gratitude. And live our lives freely and filled with all that God has for us. So we just gently say thank you. Thank you. For we have been filled with this gratitude today that passes all understanding. And we know without a shadow of a doubt that before we asked, He has answered. And so it is.
And so it is. Amen.
Amen.